Yep, back to the SportsMax zone. The UEFA Europa League continued today with 12 games on the card. Manchester United travelled to Cyprus for their Group E clash against bottom of the table Omonia FC. We have highlights.
In San Sebastian, away to Real Sociedad. Bruno Fernandes, Anthony's running through, and he's played it behind Bruno Fernandes, trying to put it on a platter for him. Sancho forced further away. Malacia, that wasn't a great touch. Bruno Sousa was quickly upon him, and now there's a charge. He's got support from his friends too. Bruno plays it in, might have been offside, but Ansar Ifar doesn't hang about. He finishes. Plenty of passing, but no way through, and then they've been caught, and it was Malacia at fault. It will be checked. There is just a worry for Omonia that this might be offside. It's a very close call. Bruno Fernandes. Spearing it up towards Rashford. Ball's bounced away, but he's got a chance now. It's Rashford, and it's brilliantly taken. Very little by way of celebration from Rashford, despite his excellent finish here. Looked as though the move might have gone when he lost it there, but Militic was unlucky not to get it back, and the space just opened for Rashford. The tide might have turned back in Manchester United's favour, but they need more to happen yet. Rashford trying to make it happen. Martial, that's terrific. What an impact again. Marcus Rashford. They complete the turnaround from a goal down to leading the game. Half nicked away from Omonia by Ronaldo, and it leads to Rashford running. Rashford will look for Ronaldo now. Ronaldo will only look for goal, but he's found Rashford. I don't know if it was a shot or an assist, but he's got the latter anyway. The referee had already made his mind up. Might still be an opportunity here, and there is, and it's taken. It's thundered home by Panayotou. Panayotou played a part at the start of the move. Bit of good fortune, it was deflected, Kakulis cross there.
Brent Sancho is online and joins us today. Brent, not expecting Manchester United to have made such heavy weather of that game against Omonia in Cyprus, but they squeezed through 3-2. You weren't impressed?
No, look, I tell you what, guys, it's so difficult to do anything on Manchester United as relates to analysing games, because you keep looking at the club and thinking to yourself, what is going on at that football club? And irrespective of who's the manager, players, etc., the problem is obviously the club. But in this particular fixture, look, I think Manchester United is a continuation for what we've seen year after year. It's just been uninspiring performances, players, of course, trying to show that they're doing, but they're not really doing, and there's no real direction. They were very fortunate today, I must admit, despite the fact that the scoreline obviously went to 3-1. But I thought in terms of what they produced offensively and the chances they created, a team at that caliber should be finishing. This game should be at least 4-5-0. Instead, it was a very tight 3-2 affair.
It's early days yet, but what are your impressions of the Brazilian winger Anthony? He's being trolled on social media for being a back pass merchant. Brilliant goal against Man City. He scored, of course, against Arsenal in that game at Old Trafford. But the critics say for a winger, he doesn't really attack his fullback, and his first action is to pass the ball backwards rather than go down the line and take on Committee's defender. Your impressions of his display so far in a red shirt?
I think it's difficult for him. He's very similar to what we saw from Jadon Sancho when he first come to Manchester United. It's where they're picking the ball up, George. They're picking the ball up in areas where they're easily double teamed and in most instances forced backward. United are not a penetrative team. You don't really see balls in behind, something, of course, what Anthony strives on. And even in 1v1 situations, as I said, there always seems to be a support in defenders, because teams are very set when it comes to defending Manchester United, because Manchester United plays so slowly, almost at snail pace. So it's never a quick switch of play, and Anthony finds himself with acres of space to take on a defender 1v1.
Right, and Brent, talk to me now about the quality of Marcus Rashford's performance, the one we saw today, because he looked, you know, full of confidence in getting the job done for his team.
Yeah, I think he done what many other Manchester United players should have done. I think he just obviously kept a certain standard that was required for a game like today. I don't think it was an overly exceptional performance because this, I mean, by all stretches of imagination, was a really poor team, to be honest. No way close to Manchester United in terms of the type of talent and capability that's in the United fold. But that being said, you have to give Rashford credit, of course, Martial as well, coming off the bench and performing well as well. I think Erik ten Hag would look at it as 3 points, and that's it. It's very difficult for him now to start trying to pull apart performances, because I think his problems, as I said at the start of this, is a lot bigger than just what is happening on the pitch.
How painful is it to look at Cristiano Ronaldo, you know, not taking simple chances that he would have taken a couple of years ago?
I don't think it's so much painful. I think he's a player a bit void of confidence simply because he's not getting the repetitions that he's used to. Remember, this is a guy that plays 90 minutes of football consistently every single season. This is the first time that he's been faced with such a situation. So rhythm as a striker, when you talk about my former teammates like Sterling John, etc., they always talk about rhythm. They always talk about playing in games and getting that repetition. I think Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't have that repetition, and very easily, Mariah, he can score one and go on a goal scoring streak for every single game. That's how it works with strikers.
Yeah, you know, Brent, when we look back at analysing what has been happening with Manchester United, I hear you searching for the issues with the club overall, and I think you have hit the nail on the head, because I think the players are also caught into this situation of the weight of expectation. You know, it's like these West Indies cricketers now who are playing, they know what the history is for West Indies, and it is a lot on their shoulders to bear with the fans so expectant and demanding the top kind of performances. But how nervous would they have been today, Brent? You are a former international player, and I'm sure you've been in some situations before when you are playing and a result is setting itself up for an upset, you being on the favourite team. Omonia are not even in the top 3 at the moment in the Cyprus First Division. So how nervous things would have been for Man United when they were down 1 in the first half?
Look, I think there are a lot of players on the Man United team that have a lot of belief in themselves, and that's why they're top players. And irrespective of how poorly they're doing at Manchester United, these players will feature well in a World Cup, and they will feature well internationally when you look at some of the names. But I think collectively is the problem, the pressure that comes with playing with a Manchester United, the pressure of not doing well as a Manchester United team. It's extremely difficult. Don't get it twisted, Lance. These guys read the stuff that comes out. As much as they say they try to, of course, keep very focused. You know that the minute you go to the grocery shop or go to something to eat, people look at you funny. There's comments that come out. There's the newspapers in Britain, etc., etc. It is very, very difficult. When you come up against these sorts of situations, the first thing you have in the back of the mind is don't make a mistake. And when you're playing football with that heaviness on you, it is a challenge. And I think that is one of the problems that the Manchester United team has when they are on the pitch.
Let's talk about Arsenal now, so that we don't upset their supporters who will say, well, we won comfortably today, and you spent the whole segment talking about Manchester United. Bodø Glimt at the Emirates, Arsenal running out 3-0 winners. I said Pep. Mikel Arteta's team has more than something about them this season, and they didn't need their big guns to sew up this result today, Brent.
Yeah, it's a team brimming with confidence. Stark opposite to what we just mentioned about Manchester United. There's a lot of confidence in that dressing room. When you see players that don't normally play, George, come out and give that type of performance, it tells me within that group there is a lot of confidence. However, and most Arsenal fans probably don't want to hear this, I think it's not as fragile as it has been years ago, but I still think it's fragile. I still think they're lacking the leadership of a Patrick Vieira, for example, a Tony Adams, for example. I still feel that 1 or 2 poor performances, 1 or 2 poor results could see Arsenal taking a step back. Not the kind of step back that we've seen in previous years, but I think a step back. But they are on the right path.
All right, and again, just to appease the Arsenal fans, let's roll the highlights as we did for the Manchester United game.
Headed away comfortably enough by Marius Loda, but he'll play it back in again. Could this be a chance for Fabio Vieira? Got that one wrong. Super work from Martinelli, and he's got it out to Tierney. He smashes the frame of the goal, and then it's in by Nketiah. Arsenal punished him. There was the giveaway. Fabio Vieira got it forward. Martinelli saw the run of Tierney, who took it on, smashed the post, and then first corner of the match to be taken by Fabio Vieira. Might get a second chance as well to play it in here. Oh, great ball! Fabulous header! Second ball in was a peach. Now, maybe Martinelli. It's Xhaka! Brilliant stop from Hakeem. Stay this way. It is a setback for Bodø Glimt, but it's not terminal. Jesus. Oh, what a run. Oh, brilliant. Smashed in by Fabio Vieira. All from a throw. Look at this. Past Samsted. And then Fabio Vieira has found Saka, who didn't make the most of that. It won't matter. It's nigh on a perfect night for Arsenal. Yet another win and a first home clean sheet of the season.
Brent, things take time and things need time. This is an Arsenal team playing so well right now that missed out on European competition altogether last season. Not even the Europa League they managed to fall into. So, I mean, there's hope for those who are heading rebuilding projects.
Yeah, and you know, you have to really pinpoint the signing, I think, of Gabriel Jesus from Manchester City. I think he's given them a different dimension. All the attributes that he brings on the field, a class quality player that gives him a really good focal point, and he's a winner. He was at Manchester City, of course, and did extremely well there and has that winning mentality. I think what he's brought to the football club is the reason that we are seeing Arsenal going up a little bit from what they were before. He's a genuine threat on goal, and I think if he continues to play the way he plays, of course, albeit he stays injury-free, Arsenal has a very good chance of finishing in the top four. All right, Group C also served up an exciting encounter between last season's UEFA Conference League winners, AS Roma, Jose Mourinho's team, and Spain's Real Betis at the Stadio Olimpico in Italy.
Sort of deliveries. It's aimed in towards Ibanez. He doesn't get anything on it. Comes back towards the edge of the box, and Zaniolo trying to squeeze out a shot, which is blocked and cleared away. Rui Bal. Well, just have a look here. His arm is away from his body. It hits him below the T-shirt line. And by the letter of the law, the referee can give a penalty for that. Reviewed the incident and decided penalty for Roma. Is it a hand that Dybala is going to grab? Dybala beats Bravo with ease in the context of this group. And that's a bit of a mistake by Smalling, who misread that. This is Luis Enrique. And Rui Patricio had to make a big save, and Mancini is grateful. Oh, now it's picked up by Luis Enrique. Canales has made a run into the box. Rui Bal back to Enrique. Can he get a shot away here? He's twisting and turning and looking for a bit of support, trying to set up Rodriguez. Enrique did well to hold on to it. Rodriguez smashing it in. He's only got one goal in 2 years. Carvalho. Rodri again. No one to aim at in the centre. Not that Betis have much intention of doing that. They're just keeping the ball away from their goal as much as possible. Enrique with a header. Maybe they do have an intention to win it. Well, there wasn't too many options. Just the one. Picked out. Manuel Pellegrini gets one over Jose Mourinho, and in doing so inflicts Roma's first European home defeat in 4 years.
A meeting of two former Premier League champions as coaches. Pellegrini, of course, winning with Manchester City, and Mourinho conquering the league 3 times with Chelsea. Brent, Real Betis have looked very good in La Liga this season, and they took that good form to the Stadio Olimpico, where they overcame a Roma side that just didn't have enough to hold out for a share of the points.
Goal, Luis Enrique, he's been outstanding since, of course, going to Real Betis. I've watched him a couple of times in La Liga, and of course watched a bit of the game today. And the fluidity, I think Manuel Pellegrini, what he's done with that team is tremendous. They seem to have a great understanding as to what they are and what their strengths are, and they play to it. They get the ball out wide to Enrique, and of course he's in great form. And because of that, I think, Real Betis is now a very, very difficult team to play against, not just in this competition, but I also think in La Liga as well.
Yep. What has happened to Tammy Abraham, though? Because the word is that since the Jewels' arrival in Roma, speaking, of course, of Paulo Dybala, La Joya, since Dybala's arrival, Tammy Abraham hasn't been banging in the goals for Jose Mourinho's team. Is it that Dybala's presence has pulled the shade on Abraham's talent?
Yeah, it does, and as a Juventus fan, I can give you the long and short of Dybala. Of course, I think one of the problems that Dybala presents to any number 9 is that he picks up positions that a regular number 9 would play, especially a player like Tammy Abraham, who wants to play off the shoulder of defenders, who wants to get balls into space. Dybala clogs those space and makes it very difficult to get those sorts of supply lines. So I'm not surprised this is happening, George, because that's the challenge that Dybala has, and that's why, of course, from an Argentina perspective, for example, he's seen so little opportunities, because he wants the football in particular spots that, of course, will have an impact on the way the number 9 plays for your team. Yeah,
he wants the ball for Roma where Tammy Abraham wants the ball, and for Argentina he wants the ball where Messi wants the ball, and we know how that's going to go. All right, Brent, thank you very much for your time. We're going to finish the segment looking at the results from today's full results from today's fixtures in the Europa League. Let's go. So PSV, big winners on the road at FC Zurich. Gakpo scoring twice in that 5-1 win. No goals between Lazio and Sturm Graz. Real Sociedad on the road, beating Sheriff Tiraspol 2-0. Crvena Zvezda, a.k.a. Red Star Belgrade, they beat Ferencváros 4-1. Manchester United squeezing by Omonia 3-2. Monaco beating Trabzonspor 3-1. HJK and Ludogorets sharing the points 1-1. Union Berlin, the leaders in the Bundesliga, they beat the Swedish team Malmo 1-0. Midtjylland, they held out for a 2-2 draw with Feyenoord. The French side Rennes, they beat Dynamo Kiev 2-1. Karabag, they went to Greece and beat Olympiacos 3-0. And then Braga, the Portuguese team, beaten at home 2-1 by Union Saint-Gilloise. Fenerbahce, the Turkish team, they beat AEK Larnaca 2-0. Freiburg beat Nantes 2-0. Arsenal taking down Bodø Glimt 3-0. And in the Eternal City, Rome, Real Betis went there and left with a 2-1 win. The Europa League, of course, continues next Thursday, as does the UEFA Champions League. And stay here, SportsMax has the best of the coverage, and of course the SportsMax app. You can watch all the games in both competitions live on the SportsMax app. You can even have multiple devices up watching multiple games.